All right, all right, all right. Rock and roll. Welcome, one and all, to the Scorched Earth Political Podcast. I am your host and mentor, John. And if you could be so kind, hit that like and subscribe button. Here we welcome all, friend and foe, sinner and saint. After a Saturday night of debauchery, I'm sure you are in the sinner category. But you know what? We welcome all and we forgive. I'm a minister. Don't forget that. And here we aim for a more raw and honest and unabridged look at what's going on in the world of politics, social events, not so much social events, but, you know, it's my attempt to try and be hip. And here we try to hold all accountable. We're taking no prisoners, telling no lies, and let's burn it all down here on a beautiful Sunday. Hope you're all doing well. Hope your weekend is progressing well. It's a week. God, we're literally 2 weeks away from Memorial Day. Jesus. Where does it go? And when I was young, I just used to hear that from the old timers. I'm like, man, when did I become old? Well, I became old when literally I started saying, where does the time go? You know? Okay, I think it's the lack of summer vacation at school. I think that's really the culprit. Let's blame that. Can we blame that on Trump? I don't know. Probably not. But it seems like Don, the con, he got back from his Middle East grift tour. And he seemed to be a little angry at Walmart. Yeah. He says that Walmart needs to stop blaming tariffs. Yeah. After the giant company, multinational company, announced that they would be passing on the tariffs to the consumer, to you and I. Yeah, wow, isn't that fantastic? Thank you, Don. Looks like we get a middle of the year tax increase, right? Thank you. Walmart CEO said the price increases were a result of Trump's tariffs being too high, particularly when it came to Chinese goods. And there is numbers that say between 70 and 80% of all goods in Walmart are Chinese-based, right? Trump responded, though Trump wasn't going to take that sitting down. Well, I guess he was sitting down. Responded on Saturday saying between Walmart and China, they should, as they say, eat the tariffs and not charge valued customers anything. I will be watching, and so will your customers. Let me explain something to everybody out there. We have been waiting for the dam to break. If you have been following the political scene on what's going on with the tariffs, a month ago, Amazon almost broke it when they announced, or it leaked. Let me take a step back. When they leaked that they were on their pricing on items on their website going to put a tariff subcharge right next to it. So people could see that the item was $10 and there was a $2.50 surcharge for tariffs. Well, the White House lost their shit. They did. Trump called Bezos, said, you got to stop this. This isn't right. Walmart walked it back. Carolyn Levitt, White House spokesperson, idiot in charge, said that this was a hostile act towards the administration, that they never did this to Biden with the inflation. Of course, Biden, believe me, did not want inflation. How do you put an inflation number next to a price? I mean, really, I think that lady suffered some CTE on the softball field, but, you know, another DEI hire. Howard Lutnick, the Treasury Secretary, said that businesses in the country and the countries primarily will eat the tariffs. Now, our former Treasury Secretary, Larry Summers, called this theory ridiculous. Sorry, Lutnick is the idiot at Commerce. Besant is the guy at Treasury. I stand corrected, okay? Economists are pretty much unanimous that the tariffs will burden lower and middle-income Americans who have historically been Walmart's primary customers. Understand how the world works. The rich basically deal with services, right? They're buying things. They're buying commodities. They're buying, businesses. They're going on trips. They're buying different things like this. In the middle and lower class, we are actually spending a majority of our money on consumer goods that we need every day. That is why when you look at everything that comes out of economists, some of the best money that the government spends is on SNAP, is on unemployment, is on disability. And the reason is because those go to the bottom half of the people in the workforce, and that money goes to pay rent. It goes to pay electric bills. It goes to pay food. It immediately gets filtered back in to the economy. When Trump in 2020 had those PPP loans that basically, gave businesses just free money, I'm not saying it didn't help employment, but a lot of that went back into the pockets of the business owner. When the rich get a tax break, do you and I see any benefit of it? No. But when you and I get a tax break or we get some stimulus or something like that, we go to the hairdresser, we go to a local restaurant, we put the money back into our community. Do you really think the rich put the money back into the community? No. Maybe into their elitist community they do. And I'm not going to pick on Warren Buffett because I think that guy's a good guy. But the guy's got $100 billion, right? Do you really think that guy is putting any money back into the economy? Not really. Not as a proportion of his wealth. Is he giving 0.5% maybe for all his homes and his, all the other stuff that he uses every day? Maybe. But you and I, as an actual byproduct of our budget, if we have a budget of, let's just say $1,000 a week, we are putting 950, well, in my case, probably 1,200, back into the local economy. You're paying for rent, you're paying electricity, you're paying gas, you're paying a car payment, you're paying insurance. We're not sitting over here putting it into these extravagant tax havens. I remember back in the day, my dad, he had a company, right? And he had a pretty successful company, and somebody came to him and said, John, I have this deal where I can give you a tax haven, I can give you a tax break on anything over $1.5 million. And he goes, it's only going to cost you $200,000. And my dad said, no thanks. And then my dad looked at me right after the meeting with the guy, and he says, son, you got to be able to afford your tax breaks. And what he was saying is that's something for the rich. Middle-class people really don't have to deal with that. I mean, that's the big thing that we don't understand. When rich people do their taxes, let me give you a little insight on what's going on here. They meet with their accountants in the end of December and the beginning of January. They're not doing their taxes. They are tax planning for the upcoming year. You and I, we get our W-2, we go to the tax man, he says this, he says that, we sit there, we pray, and then maybe we get a refund, maybe we owe some money, whatever. We are reactive. The rich are proactive. That is what is going on here, okay? That's why these tariffs affect us. The rich can just go, you know what? Instead of buying it from China, I'm just going to buy it from Vietnam, and the tariff is 15 or 20% less. That's what they do. You and I don't have a choice. We go into Walmart, we only have what's on the shelves. And I have noticed something, and I've been talking to super producer Stacy about it. I'm starting to notice little empty pockets in my supermarket. I'm not saying that's a cause of the tariffs. I'm not even, but wow, it's kind of weird. Okay, I'm just saying, and I noticed that Saturday night because I literally have no life. So I'm going supermarket shopping on Saturday night. Jesus, how pathetic. Look away. Look away. There's just too much shame in me, okay? Jesus Christ, what happened to my life? I'm telling you. So Trump's increased tariffs are mostly on Chinese goods to an amount of 145%, but that rate dropped to 30% last Monday as part of the 90-day truce with the Chinese counterpart. But Trump has said that they could become substantially higher if a trade agreement is not reached with China in 90 days. He blinked. He said uncle first. He said chicken first. He jumped off the railroad tracks first. Okay? Just saying. Okay? Trump's trade war has also affected consumer confidence in the United States. The University of Michigan reported this week that consumer sentiment fell 2.7% between April and May, a near record low in part due to Americans feeling fearing a recession. Yeah, no kidding. Honestly, if you're out there, do you not get worried about what is coming? The uncertainty? I'm telling you right now, there's some serious uncertainty coming. I don't know if we're going to get a recession. This just in, we're going to get a recession. A recession is 2 consecutive quarters of contracted economic development. The GDP, that we already had it down 2% the first quarter of this year. I'm telling you, wait till the end of May. We're going to see. We are going to have items like bananas, avocados, and coffee are among some of the groceries that McMillan, the CEO of Walmart, said come from Colombia, Costa Rica, and Peru. Let me tell you something. You really want to scare people? You start effing with their coffee. I go and meet super producer Stacy for coffee once a week, probably, something like that. And I wonder what's going to happen. I've been watching the price at Starbucks, and it's been steady. I am waiting to see when is that price increase going to come. Because Colombia, where most of the coffee beans that Starbucks imports come from there. I'm just waiting. And believe me, when that day comes, when I see that price kick up, I'm going to be telling everybody on Scorched Earth, okay? Ryan Monarch, an assistant professor of economics at Syracuse University, told CNN that seasonal and holiday shopping purchases can't be delayed 2 or 3 months to wait for the trade war to play out. Now, this is really an important thing. Back to school is August. That stuff's already shipped. Halloween costumes, they've got to make a decision within the next month. Christmas stuff, you got 3 months, if that. Should be interesting because let me tell you something. In America, in the country where people lost their shit when the Mike Tyson, Jake Paul fight buffered, you start not having Christmas toys for the kids, people are going to lose their stuff. And I'm going to tell you, we're lucky. Well, let me take a step back. We were fortunate COVID started happening around the beginning of the year because let me tell you, if that would have hit in August or September and we would have had Christmas with no Christmas toys, there would have been problems. There would have been monumental effing problems. That's all I got to say. So Walmart right now is focused on back to school, right? The Walmart CEO explained that the tariffs are paid the second those items come into port. I have told you the story about super producer Stacy. Her friend Eric had a $400 bill at the port of wherever, let's say Los Angeles, okay? And when he got there, he got an additional $450 bill. He wasn't ready to pay it, and they told him if you don't pay it, you can't get any more goods. Forever. They play hardball for the little guy, right? Okay, fair enough. Well, the Walmart's dealing with the same thing. You know, on Liberation Day, April 2nd, I think the tariffs went into effect like 9 p.m. on April 3rd. So if a boat left the harbor in China literally at 9:01, they got the tariffs. If they left at 8:59, they didn't. The new increased tariffs, right? And let's not forget, Trump in 2017 negotiated 2.5% tariffs on China. Canada and Mexico were exempt. He's the one who did this deal. And now he's going up from, think about it, 2.5% to 30%. That's the lowest number we're seeing. I'm not even talking about this 145%. There's nobody going to buy that stuff on the shelf. If your stuff's $20 and all of a sudden the price is $45, sorry. See ya. I got some fentanyl I got to buy, right? So McMillan continued. He said, so I think we're looking at an upward pressure that begins in April and plays through the end of the year. Yeah, exactly. These companies have to plan 3 to 4 months out. I'm telling you, by the end of July, they've got to have their Christmas orders in. Those boats take a long time. You have to understand, you've got to get the factory order. It's got to get shipped. It's got to get loaded on the boat. It's got to be sent to America. It has to get offloaded and then put in the store. There is so many amazing things that have to go on in the logistics chain to get an item from a factory in Shanghai to a store in Los Angeles, California. I don't even know what you got to do if you want to get to Little Rock, Arkansas. You know? Maybe, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, she's got to get a new pair of boots. That's going to be something. That's going to be something. Roughly 80% of the toys in America today are made in China, according to the Toy Association. Okay, we're going to get good here. Toy companies like Hasbro, the owner of Nerf, love Nerf, and Play-Doh, said some items will be cut from its portfolio. And Barbie creator Mattel has issued warnings about the potential price hikes. It seems like last month, a Barbie doll with swimsuit sold at Walmart's competitor Target rose 42.9% over a week in mid-April to $14.99 from $8. Okay, yeah. We're talking about the same president who at the beginning of this month said, well, maybe the kids will have $2 instead of $30, and maybe the $2 will cost a couple bucks more than they normally would. I got a question for you, Fat Don. You made $1 billion. How come you needed 2? How come you needed 3? How come you needed to go over to Qatar to get a free jet? You already got enough. Why do you want more? Because that is what America does. No matter how much we have, we want more. It's what made us a great country. It's part of capitalism, and you embody capitalism. Let me tell you, when you're eating dinner at night and you say, I want more than one Big Mac, well, they run out and go get you that second Big Mac, huh? Fat slob. All right. Industry estimates are about 90% of children and babies' products are manufactured exclusively in China. Yeah, that's going to go real well. That's just going to go fantastic. All right. Let's move on. Federal Appeals Court on Friday lifted a block on an executive order by President Donald Trump that seeks to strip union rights from federal workers at dozens of agencies and offices. He issued this executive order in March and basically said any department, any federal government union that has anything to do with the security of the United States, which only he knows what the F that means, cannot be a union, because that impedes the security and national security of the United States. Please do not ask me to explain what goes on in that gerbled head of his. I don't know. But now these unions are not going to be able to collectively bargain with the federal government and continue, right? This will apply to most federal agencies, including the Department of Treasury, Defense, Veterans Affairs, State, and Justice. I'm going to tell you something. I am a proud union member. I love my union. I love what the unions do for America. They give a middle-class person a chance at a good life. You don't have to get $1 billion in student debt. They set a standard of wage that ripples throughout the industry. Let's just say you're a nurse, okay? And a union nurse makes, let's just say $30 an hour, $35 an hour. Let's just say 30 for argument's sake. Union nurses are making that. Non-union nurses, their employers have to be semi-competitive. They can't pay their non-union nurses $15. They've got to be within 10 to 15% of what the union is. So they're going to pay their nurses $25. And let me tell you something. I worked at Kaiser. I was a carpenter at Kaiser. And let me tell you something. Nurses, medical professionals are the most underpaid, well, teachers too, are the most underpaid people in this country. I don't care what they make. They should make twice that tomorrow. And they'd still be underpaid. But I digress. The unions lift the boat for everybody, okay? If there was no unions, then how do you collectively bargain? They just start picking a number out. And then it's a race to the bottom, not to the top, right? So instead of making $25 or $30 an hour, then they say, well, how about 15 and 16? What are you going to do? It's kind of like those idiots, and I'm glad he's in the grave, Rush Limbaugh, saying, well, if we raise prices, it's going to, it's going to destroy all the doctors. This is when he was fighting against the ACA. Well, if you put price controls on it, all these doctors are going to go into other professions. They're already there. What are they going to do? Now, the future, yeah, it may be an impediment for them. Yeah, but as far as I'm concerned, and I know maybe I'm out there on the razor's edge, that's why you listen to Scorched Earth, is people get into teaching, nursing, because they care about other people. They're not doing it to make $1 million. They're doing it because they have a compassion. They have an empathy. Those are two things that Donald Trump will never know. Never. There you go. Also, the appeals court that overturned and allowed Trump to basically destroy these unions was a 3-court panel. 2 of the judges who voted against the unions, one was appointed by Trump, one was by George Bush. The one who voted for the unions was a Biden appointee. Your vote does matter. It literally does matter. When they say it doesn't matter, and I've been to union meetings, I've been to literally hundreds of union meetings. One day I'll be able to say that correctly. And these workers don't think that anything affects them. They don't, they want guns and God. We're going to vote Republican. Yeah, I believe in that. Yeah, sure you do. Until they come and chop your legs out from underneath you. They are trying to make us all poor and work until we die. And I got 2 words to them, F you, and then when I get done with that, another F you. Okay? All right. Oh, his order, Trump's order, which is now in full effect, covers 37 federal agencies, including the FDA and the Bureau of Land Management. Oh, kumbaya. Going to be good times there. I can see that, right? Also, in the news, Doge and Trump have made massive cuts to Social Security. They have cut anywhere between 10 and 15% of the workforce. They have cut over 50% of the phone services for Social Security. Now, their claim was there was fraud on the phone lines, that's why we got to cut them back. Yeah, right. Musk claimed in his little Doge thing that engineers have found $100 billion a week in fraudulent entitlement payments, a situation he called utterly insane. Yeah. And somebody told him those hair plugs he's got look good. This just in. No. Even Trump's Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, that a-hole, suggested in a podcast that the only people complaining about missing payments are fraudsters. No, Howard, they're just people who don't have billions of dollars that we've grifted off the American consumer. We're people who have to pay our rent, food, electricity. He said the easiest way to find the fraudster is to stop payments and listen, because whoever screams is the one stealing. Yeah, right, Howard. I'm telling you, in 3.5 years, when I'm president, and I'm looking over at the best vice president ever, I'm going to say, Crystal, you go get him, girl. You go get him. She will. I'm telling you, that is where the Democrats got to throw down. I keep saying it. They've got to pass a resolution. I know it's not going. They've got to introduce the resolution and say, hey, anybody who's associated with this stuff, we're coming after you. F you and then F you again. These people think they are going to be in power forever. They're not. The days of, what did Russell Crowe say in Gladiator? The days of honoring yourself are soon to come to an end. Yeah. And if he didn't, I did. Okay? I love that movie. But they found from the Inspector General that less than 2.02 of 1% of there was fraud found in Social Security payments. Right? 1% of the claims had any potential for overpayments or fraud. They've got it pretty much dialed down. I'm not saying there's not fraud, but here's the thing. And here's what I'm getting tired of this ecosystem talking about. Oh, well, we know there's fraud. Let's stop with that first line. I am getting goddamn tired of hearing that as the first line. Well, we know there's some fraud. Let us recalibrate the argument. John is going to recalibrate the argument. 99% of the people in Social Security are getting paid and they deserve their money. Let's start with that. How about this? When your kid takes a test and they come back and it says 99%, is the first thing that the teacher says is, wow, you missed 1% of the problems. You got a problem. We got to get back into the lab. Or do they say, wow, 99%, good job? I mean, just think about it. That is how the Republicans have corrupted this whole goddamn argument. Oh, well, there's fraud. You know what? Maybe. I don't know. But I know this. Study after study says 99% of Social Security is going effectively to the people who deserve it and who earned it. Just saying. I'm just saying. Okay? Good thing we're cutting staff there. That's fantastic. Inspector General found for fiscal year 2023, only 0.6%, not basically almost less than 1% of all payments made across Social Security and all its platforms were overpayments. And they got that money back. Pretty good. Of course, then he was fired by Trump. Yeah, because we can't have anybody calling what's really going on when they're calling BS, right? All right, it's getting a little late. I was going to talk about the Navy ship that hit the Brooklyn Bridge. It was a Mexican Navy ship. I'm wondering, where was Pig Hegseth? Was he out there on a booze cruise in New York Harbor? Just happened to hit the Brooklyn Bridge? I'd like to know where he was. Let's check the signal chats. Hey, I got this Mexican booze cruise. I'm going to go on it, and they're going to let me drive the boat. I'm just saying. And finally, in truly one of the more disturbing things I've seen in a while, one person was killed, 4 were very severely injured in an explosion outside a fertility clinic in Palm Springs, California on Saturday. I saw the wreckage. It was horrific. I didn't want to put it on the podcast, the pictures, because they're so horrific. And I don't understand the Republicans on any level. You have this group that is pro-life, okay? And they say we cannot let women have reproductive rights. We cannot let them have autonomy over their own body. We did a story the other day about a lady who was brain dead in Georgia. She was pregnant. When she became brain dead, they are making her go 6 more months to term to deliver the baby. And we don't even know what the effects are going to be with the baby. All right. But there is also a subsect in the Republican, in the MAGA, in the we are effing crazy consternation that is against the fertility. Now, I don't understand that. And Trump, when he was on the campaign trail, was saying we were going to have Medicaid and Medicare pay for fertility treatments, things like that. We wanted to help that. That's all went away. And that's because the ultra-conservatives in that party do not like fertility. They think that children are only supposed to be conceived naturally. Okay? That's how they get their transgender and, homophobia, gay homophobia going, right? And at the end of the day, I know what we're going to find here. The Palm Springs fire chief, Paul Alvarado, said the blast appears to be an intentional act of violence. It seems like there was a car outside the facility that detonated, killing the person next to the car, who police suspect. Los Angeles ABC TV, citing an unnamed law enforcement source, said that the person who died was the suspect. I'm glad. I am really glad. I hope this guy got burned into hell. Because you know what? Trying to blow up an abortion clinic, a fertility clinic, whatever it is, that is just, there's a special place in hell for you. And I'm not sure I believe in hell, but you know what? When I see stuff like this, I do want to believe in hell because I want you to burn forever, you mother effer. You are despicable and you are not part of the human species. You know? I'm just telling you. All right, that's it. Blessings, salutations to all you out there. I hope you have a wonderful Sunday, and I just want to tell you all, I love you. We're in this together, and we're going to win because we're on the side of right, we're on the side of love, and because we're fighting for democracy. And I appreciate everybody who listens. Leave some comments, hit the like and subscribe button, and we'll see you soon on Scorched Earth.